LeeRoy Yarbrough's Downward Spiral, 1980. LeeRoy Yarbrough was a NASCAR star of the late 1960s whose life took a harrowing turn. After suffering head injuries in two major crashes, his mental health deteriorated. On a February night in 1980, Yarbrough suddenly attacked his own mother, Minnie, attempting to strangle her while watching TV. A nephew intervened just in time, preventing a likely murder as Yarbrough had pinned her down. Fans were stunned. This was the driver who had dominated 1969, winning the Daytona 507 races that year. The former champ was subsequently charged with attempted first-degree murder and later declared incompetent. Yarbrough spent his final years in a Florida mental institution until his death in 1984. His shocking downfall from record-setting racer to tragedy remains one of NASCAR's darkest personal sagas. Rob Moroso's fatal mistake. 1990. Rob Moroso was a promising 22-year-old driver and reigning NASCAR Rookie of the Year when he made a deadly decision. He had also won the Busch Series in 1989, marking him as a future star. On September 30th, 1990, just days after his birthday, Moroso drove home from a race while intoxicated. He lost control of his car at high speed and collided head-on with another vehicle. Moroso had a blood alcohol level of 0.22%, more than twice the legal limit. The young driver was killed instantly, and 27-year-old Tammy Williams, a mother of two in the other car, also lost her life. The crash badly tarnished NASCAR's image at the time, underscoring the real-life consequences of drunk driving. Moroso's bright career ended in an avoidable tragedy that shook the racing community. Dark Day at Hendrick, the Billy Crump murder, 1992. On January 4, 1992, 47-year-old Billy Crump, a key executive in NASCAR's merchandising world, was murdered in cold blood. Crump managed Hendrick Motorsports' lucrative souvenir business and was about to start his own venture. That night, as he and his wife returned to their Myrtle Beach condo, two armed men emerged from the shadows. They opened fire, killing Crump instantly while his wife watched in horror. Tellingly, the assailants left behind Crump's bag containing $10,000 in cash and his Rolex, indicating it was a targeted hit rather than a robbery. Rumors swirled about business rivals and contract killings, but the case remains unsolved to this day. Crump's death sent shockwaves through the NASCAR community, marking one of its most sinister, unsolved mysteries. Back-to-back tragedies. Kulwicki and Allison, 1993. In 1993, NASCAR was rocked by two high-profile deaths in less than 4 months. Reigning Cup Series champion Alan Kulwicki, 38, was killed on April 1, 1993, when his private plane crashed en route to a race in Tennessee. Then, on July 13, 1993, Davey Allison, a 32-year-old star and 1992 Daytona 500 winner, died from injuries in a helicopter crash at Talladega Superspeedway. Allison never regained consciousness after his chopper flipped while trying to land in the infield, and he passed away the next morning. Just 11 months earlier, Allison's younger brother Clifford had died in a racing accident, deepening the family's heartbreak. The sudden losses of Kulwicki and Allison, both at the peaks of their careers, devastated fans and drivers alike, reminding everyone of the fragility of life even away from the racetrack. Chris Trickle's Unsolved Drive-By, 1997-98. Chris Trickle was a rising talent in NASCAR's regional series when he became the victim of a mysterious crime. On the night of February 9, 1997, the 24-year-old Trickle was driving to play tennis in Las Vegas when another car pulled alongside and an unknown gunman opened fire into his vehicle. Trickle was struck in the head and left comatose. He miraculously clung to life for 409 days before succumbing to his injuries on March 25, 1998. Because he died more than a year after the shooting, an old Nevada law prevented authorities from charging anyone with murder in the case. Though that law was later changed in Trickle's name, his killer was never brought to justice. The drive-by shooting of a NASCAR driver remains an infamous unsolved murder that haunts the sport. Twin tragedies at New Hampshire, 2000. The year 2000 saw two eerily similar fatal crashes at New Hampshire Motor Speedway just weeks apart. On May 12, 2000, 19-year-old Adam Petty, fourth-generation racing royalty of the Petty family, was killed during a practice session when his throttle stuck and his car slammed into the Turn 3 wall. Less than 8 weeks later, on July 7, 2000, 30-year-old Kenny Irwin Jr. crashed at almost the same spot during practice, also suffering a fatal basilar skull fracture. These back-to-back deaths at Loudon, the first ever at that track, shocked NASCAR. Both drivers had been seen as future stars, and Petty's death in particular ended a legendary family's four-generation run in the sport. The twin tragedies prompted NASCAR to investigate safety improvements, including kill switches and softer walls, in hopes of preventing another similar loss. Dale Earnhardt's final lap, 2001. February 18, 2001, the Daytona 500 became the darkest day in NASCAR history. On the final lap of the sport's biggest race, seven-time champion Dale Earnhardt Sr. was running third, blocking to protect his team cars when contact caused him to veer right and slam head-on into the Turn 4 wall at about 160 miles per hour. The beloved Intimidator was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital shortly after, the result of a basilar skull fracture. Millions witnessed the crash live on TV, and the NASCAR world was devastated by the loss of its biggest star. Earnhardt's death, the fourth fatal skull fracture in NASCAR in less than a year, spurred a safety revolution. Within months, NASCAR mandated head and neck restraint devices, improved seatbelts, and eventually added safer barriers and redesigned cars, changes that have saved countless lives since Earnhardt's fateful final lap. The Hendrick Motorsports plane crash, 2004. Tragedy struck the Hendrick Motorsports family on October 24, 2004. En route to that day's NASCAR race in Martinsville, a team plane crashed into fog-shrouded mountains near the airport, killing all 10 people on board. The victims included team owner Rick Hendrick's son, Ricky, age 24, his brother John, the president of Hendrick Motorsports, John's twin daughters, the team's general manager Jeff Turner, chief engine builder Randy Dorton, and other close family and crew members. News of the crash was withheld from drivers until after the race, when Hendrick's teams learned they had lost so many of their own. The devastating loss was felt across NASCAR, as Hendrick's organization was, and remains, one of the sport's top teams. A subsequent investigation blamed pilot error for the crash, but for the Hendrick family and NASCAR community, the pain of that day endures as one of the sport's saddest chapters. Jeremy Mayfield's fall from grace, 2009 to 2011. Veteran driver Jeremy Mayfield went from victory lane to infamy in a span of just a few years. In May 2009, NASCAR suspended Mayfield indefinitely after he tested positive for methamphetamine, a claim he denied and fought in court. But the situation only worsened. On November 1, 2011, Mayfield was arrested at his North Carolina home and charged with possessing 1.5 grams of methamphetamine. During the raid, police also discovered nearly $100,000 in stolen goods on his property, items ranging from heavy machinery to race car parts linked to local burglaries. Mayfield vehemently denied knowingly having drugs or stolen items, but the damage was done. The once popular driver, winner of 5 Cup races, became a cautionary tale of a career ruined by substance abuse and crime, shocking the NASCAR world. Tony Stewart's deadly dirt track incident, 2014. Three-time NASCAR champion Tony Stewart was involved in a tragic on-track incident on August 9, 2014 that made national headlines. While moonlighting in a sprint car race at a dirt track in New York, Stewart tangled with 20-year-old driver Kevin Ward Jr., sending Ward's car into the wall. Ward exited his wrecked car and, in an apparent display of anger, walked down the live track gesturing at Stewart's passing car. To the horror of spectators, Stewart's car struck Ward, killing him on the spot. A grand jury investigation later cleared Stewart of criminal charges, ruling the death an accident. However, Ward's family filed a civil suit, and the incident prompted a NASCAR rule prohibiting drivers from walking on track after crashes. The haunting episode demonstrated the dangers of split-second decisions in racing and remains one of NASCAR's most grim moments caught on video. CEO Brian France's DUI scandal, 2018. Even NASCAR's top executive made scandalous headlines. On the evening of August 5, 2018, NASCAR chairman and CEO Brian France blew through a stop sign in Sag Harbor, New York, and strayed into a public relations disaster. Police pulled over France's Lexus and found him visibly intoxicated and in possession of 5 oxycodone pills without a prescription. His blood alcohol content was 0.18%, over twice the legal limit. The 56-year-old France spent that night in jail on charges of aggravated DWI and drug possession. He soon took an indefinite leave of absence and was replaced by his uncle, Jim France, as CEO. Brian France later pleaded guilty to DWI and entered a rehabilitation program. The incident was a major embarrassment for NASCAR's leadership, but it also underscored that no one is above the law, not even the boss of the entire sport.